as the queen of the home. Young mothers and fathers, with all my heart, I counsel you not to postpone having your children, being co-creators with our Father in heaven. Do not use the seasoning of the world, such as we'll wait until we can better afford having children, until we are more secure, until John has completed his education, until he has a better paying job, until we have a larger home, until we've obtained a few of the material conveniences, and on and on. This is the reasoning of the world and is not pleasing in the sight of God. Mothers who enjoy good health, have your children and have them early. And husbands, always be considerate of your wives in the bearing of children. Do not curtail the number of your children for personal or selfish reasons. Material possessions, social convenience, and so-called professional advantages are nothing compared to a righteous posterity. In the eternal perspective, children, not possessions, not position, not prestige, are our great jewels. It is the duty of every righteous man and woman to prepare tabernacles for all the spirits they can. Yea, blessed is the husband and wife who have a family of children. The deepest joys and blessings in life are associated with parenthood and sacrifice. To have those sweet spirits come into the home is worth practically any sacrifice. We realize that some women, through no fault of their own, are not able to bear children. To these lovely sisters, every prophet of God has promised that they will be blessed with children in the eternities and that posterity will not be denied them. Among the most common sexual sins, pregnancy and abortion, all ugly sins, but in and of themselves, they're pernicious evils. I have faith that the Constitution will not be saved in Washington.
Travis went good soul. Luke chapter 10, verse 38. Now it came to pass, as they went, that he entered into a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha received him into her house. And she had a sister called Mary, which also sat at Jesus' feet, and heard his word. But Martha was cumbered about much serving, and came to him and said, Lord, Mary needs to get to work. Tell her to get to work. Dost thou not care that my sister hath left me to serve alone? Women, women, women. Bid her, therefore, that she help me. You thought I was just joking, didn't you? And Jesus answered and said unto her, Martha, Martha, Marcia, 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 thou art careful and troubled about many things. So it's not necessary per se. The Greek comes from the word worried rather than careful, although troubled is also worried. But one thing is needful, and Mary hath chosen that good part, which shall not be taken away from her. Everybody knows that when you have the Christ among you, that you don't waste it by concerning yourself with other things in life. That you take the opportunity to learn from the Master when he is among you. That you don't take away the agency of others who want to learn from the Master. And so by extension, the Scriptures teach of the Christ. And so to study the Scriptures is similar to choosing that good part which shall not be taken away from you. But yeah, you do eventually have to go back to the world and live. Can't study the Scriptures all day long unless you're in bondage. So yeah, the dream was really wild last night because of the setup that I have here. My dream had a similar, comparable setup to recreate through symbolism my studio apartment setup. And I had books rather than packed in boxes on a desk and shelves that I was trying to arrange in the same setup here, in a cave type setup. Weird. So in 1843, there were a small group of people who had heard about Joseph Smith, claiming to be a translator, translating by the gift and power of God Egyptian gold plates. And they thought it would be hilarious to prove that the living prophet, the seer, the revelator, the translator was a fraud. And so they forged what has become known as the Kinderhook plates. I'll read to you the Wikipedia on this. The Kinderhook plates are a set of 6 small bell-shaped pieces of brass plates, anybody? With unusual engravings, created as a hoax in 1843, surreptitiously buried and then dug up at a Native American mound near Kinderhook, Illinois. Am I going to be cyber terrorized if I look? I already got threatened by Microsoft right now. Maps. Kinderhook, Illinois. Yep, still there. Western Junior High School. There's Quincy Street, which apparently is the main street. Kinderhook Cemetery. It's bigger than the town. There's Hull and Barry and New Canton. East Hannibal. There's Mississippi River. Rockport, Marblehead, Quincy, Country Meadows. Trying to find. There's Mendon, Nauvoo. There we go. Nauvoo is north, following the Mississippi. The mighty Mississippi. It's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 miles away, approximately. Palmyra. It's across the river. That's a different Palmyra. London, Frankfurt, Santa Fe, Mark Twain State Park, Shelbyville. Oh, those Shelbyvillians, always giving Springfield a hard time. What do you know? There's a Shelbyville. Hilarious. By Illinois too. Hilarious. Yet nobody knows the geography of The Simpsons. There are many people who think they know. They come out with maps. That's the Book of Mormon. Mormons. Yep. So yeah, it's the extremism. The Kinderhook plates was the one extreme of those who don't believe Joseph. Mormons, who believe Joseph Smith, but wrong, have to create, and so this ties into what I'm leading up to, by the way, in case you're wondering. It's just something that all of a sudden popped up into my mind because of Shelbyville and The Simpsons that triggered it. too many Mormons by believing incorrectly, try to be faith promoting and get the church in trouble because of it, because they create doctrine, they create scriptures, they create branch offs. Well, since the Book of Mormon is literal history true, therefore this is going to be true, and then this is going to lead to this, and then branch off into Never Land. Into what we're going to be talking about. So keep that in mind. The plates were forged by 3 men from Kinderhook as part of a plan to discredit Latter-day Saint movement founder Joseph Smith. Oh my God. According to Mormonism, the Book of Mormon is a record of ancient Judeo-Semitic, oh my hell, no, inhabitants of the Americas. I just want to cry. My God. It's right there in the Book of Mormon in the beginning. It is pre-Babylonian captivity Jewish Egyptians. It is not Judeo-Semitic. Oh my God. Who put this in here? Dumbass needs to get a rope. My hell. How hard is it to read and comprehend what you read? Again, I mean, seriously, this guy is trying to be neutral. Babylon is Semitic because Christians with the first creed of Christianity turned the Bible into literal history, and thus a chronological order. And as a result, because of the Noah story, the 3 sons were designated with geographical locations. And so people say that anything in Assyria is Semitic, and because people misunderstand what the Bible of Genesis is talking about, from Abraham supposedly coming from Ur to Canaan and takes a trip into Egypt, and so everybody thinks that he's Babylonian. Oh my hell. And so Mormons even betray and deny Joseph Smith with the Book of Abraham, where Joseph Smith makes it extremely plain, pure, and most precious that Abraham is Egyptian. That Ur is in Egypt, not Babylon. Not to mention that Babylon still hadn't been created yet, if you're going to call it literal history. So nonetheless, oh my hell. Originally translated by Smith from, they even put golden rather than gold. And again, this is what I was talking about with Mormons, who believe incorrectly that the first and second visions are literal history and not a vision. As Joseph Smith calls them, as we all call them. It's a vision. It's not real. It's a dream that I had this morning about this setup, but in a different form in my dream. What the hell, Mormons? And so, yes, the reason why Mormons call them golden plates is because gold plates would be 200 pounds. Golden plates would be about 50. And so they change Joseph Smith's words to fit their falsehood, to be faith promoting. That's an apologist. You're all a bunch of dumbasses. When Joseph Smith says gold, trust him. And they don't. Mormons don't trust Joseph. Mormons don't believe him. Just like these anti-Mormon, antichrist, apostate corals. You're all the same. Gold plates. And there's a reason. We're not going into that today. Again. Of Reformed Egyptian. Well, the plates of Nephi are Egyptian, not Reformed Egyptian. It just, Mormons just ignore facts that don't fit their narrative. And this is the topic. And it's pissing me off as one who studied like Mary at the feet of the Master. But there's going to be a plot twist at the end. Shh. So, Latter-day Saints of Kirtland sent the plates to Smith in Nauvoo for translation. These guys were able to fool the Mormons in their town. We found plates. Don't you have a founder who can translate? Yes, we do. Yay, church is going to be true. We're going to give it to Joseph and he's going to translate. See what these guys are doing? They're getting Mormons who are not studying their Book of Mormon to give the plates to Joseph. And so Smith is in Nauvoo at the time, and Smith said that they were of ancient origin, and he translated a portion of them. We got them! Right? Wait. Joseph Smith is brilliant. And not a single person knows about it unless you've seen my videos on the Kinderhook plates. So we're going to delay this video even further to give you memories on the corner of my mind. Way back in the second marriage, second failure, the Church History Museum reopened with the Church History Museum for Joseph Smith stuff. And so we went on a date to the Church History Museum, and there we saw the actual gold plates, and you know, we lifted them and they were only 50 pounds. Not 200. Oh my God. And what to my wondering eyes did appear but the seer stone. Only the picture, though. Apparently the church doesn't want people to actually see the original rock, which was not the original rock. Joseph Smith found in the well 2 separate rocks that are of weird carving and not the bright, new, shiny, polished, stained rock that the church presents for you. They can't even get that one right. But nonetheless, President Russell Marion Nelson of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints had come out in conference to demonstrate how to utilize the rock and a hat. Something like this. He looks in to see the light. And then he realizes what he just said, and he's like, something like that. Line! Cut! Oh my God. See, this is what happens when you believe falsehoods. You get humiliated in public as the leader of the church. And so, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and they have in parentheses, LDS Church, oops, Jesus is angry, defended the plates until 1981. What happened in 1981, Mormons? You too young? No, I don't believe that, because the majority of you are elderly. I just checked again yesterday. All of you know exactly what happened in 1981. That was when the triple combination was finished, until the next year when Spencer W. Kimball would say, stop the presses, destroy all those books. We got to put another testament of Jesus on the Book of Mormon. So yeah, that process, they had no interest in pursuing and defending the Kinderhook plates. Despite the guys coming out on their deathbed and even writing a letter confessing that they had forged it to trick Joseph, and how they made them nitric acid, old iron, and lead, and bound them with a piece of hoop iron, covering them completely with rust. But nonetheless, in 1980, scientific testing confirmed the hoax, and that the plates were modern creation. So, we're at the Church History Museum, and so this is like 2016. And so it's 36 years away from when the church tested them as a hoax. But we didn't talk about the Kinderhook plates. We talked about the characters on the Book of Mormon, the Anton transcript. Because one of the church service missionaries at the museum was told by the wife at the time that I'm a translator. And she was bragging about me. Dear, I'm so embarrassed. Stop it. But nonetheless, I had to stand up and say, yeah. And so she told them that I was having a lecture. So it would have been near the beginning of the year, I guess. But nonetheless, they claimed that they were enthusiastic and interested in my lecture, and said that they were going to tell people about it. They didn't. The church service missionaries at the museum do not believe what they are presenting to people. That is what I thought was curious. Because even as a Mormon who pulls the apologetic stunt to the extreme of those who try to trick a living prophet into being exposed as a fraud, would at least be like the Mormons in Kinderhook and take it to the Lord and Master of their church to learn from him. And yet, not Mormons these days. Mormons these days don't believe anything of Joseph Smith. And so you've got these young up-and-comers, rising Mormons, who are not hardened yet, who act like the Mormons in Kinderhook, who are brand new to the church, relatively speaking, even though born and raised nowadays. So, let's give you the translation that Joseph gave. Joseph Smith says, William Clayton wrote in his journal, I have seen 6 brass plates, ... covered with ancient characters of language containing from 30 to 40 on each side of the plates. Press J has translated a portion and says they contain the history of a person with whom they were found, and he was a descendant of Ham through the loins of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. The second X had also asked me one day, what are loins? Let me show you, dear. Because I've got strength in the loins. That's at the veil. Strength in the loins and in the sinews. Power in the priesthood be upon me and upon my posterity through all generations of time and throughout all eternity. It applies. Through the loins of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And that he received his kingdom from the ruler of heaven and earth. So the history of the church also used to contain Joseph Smith's statement. I have translated a portion of the plates and find they contain the history of a person with whom they were found. He was a descendant of Ham through the loins of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and that he receiveth his kingdom from the ruler of heaven and earth. And you don't catch it, do you? You don't understand why I'm laughing hysterically. You don't know your book of Abraham, do you? This was published in the Times and Seasons as soon as the translation is completed. Will be published. Oh, okay, they didn't publish it. Okay. But John Taylor and Wilford Woodruff, editors of the Nauvoo Neighbor, implied Joseph would start and would complete a translation and promised in June 1843 in an article that said the contents of the plates, together with a facsimile of the same, will be published in the Times and Seasons as soon as the translation is completed. And yet, that's as far as it went. Anybody know your Book of Abraham? Should we go to it? In the God of David, baby, don't you know that you drive me crazy? In the God of David, baby. Oh, won't you come with me and take my hand? Verse 11. Now this priest had offered upon this altar 3 virgins at one time, who were the daughters of Onetah, one of the royal descent directly from the loins of Ham. These virgins were offered up because of their virtue. They would not bow down to worship gods of wood or of stone. Therefore they were killed upon this altar, and it was done after the manner of the Egyptians, which never actually happened. That's not what Joseph is talking about. That's not what he's doing. And take my hand. And it was with Noah, so shall it be with thee. But through thy ministry my name shall be known in the earth forever, for I am thy God. Behold, Potiphar's hill was in the land of Ur of Chaldea. See, Travis, it's Babylon. Facsimile number 110. Take that and choke on it. It's right there the whole time, guys. And the Lord broke down the altar of Elkanah and of the gods of the land and utterly destroyed them. Come on, Bo. Come on, Bo. That was me who made that discovery, and smote the priest that he died. And there was great mourning in Chaldea, and also in the court of Pharaoh. So this seems a lot like Moses and that Exodus. There you go. Which Pharaoh signifies king by royal blood. Now this king of Egypt was a descendant from the loins of Ham, who was a partaker of the blood of the Canaanites by birth. And Zawi Hawass was furious when the DNA results of the pharaohs came out and said, Canaan. Not Egypt. He was furious. Change the science. We need to cover this up and hide it. Joseph Smith proven true by science when he's not intending to. This is not literal history. Hilarious. From this descent sprang all the Egyptians, and thus the blood of the Canaanites was preserved in the land. But if you've not read your Bible, Canaan is Egypt. I can help you out, Zawi, with the explanation. David Moses III, Armageddon, Salem, going on vacation in the midst of the war, standing on the mountain, which is all the imagery of the latter days, in case you didn't know. Armageddon 1, pattern for Armageddon 2. And that was all literal history. There was a David Moses III who came to Armageddon, against the Hittites, and in the midst of the war went on vacation to Salem, the mountain of Salem, and there he stayed until they had forced back the Hittites. And so Salem would then go on to build the temple, the Jerusalem temple, and the palace for King David Moses III, and the heir through the woman who would have been given to David Moses III, and the son of that union for that peace treaty. It'd be like Trump in his Middle Eastern tour to Syria, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, each one of those presidential imperial leaders giving Trump one of their daughters, and then Trump would add them to his harem, and then the children from that union would go back to those various countries to be the replacement leader of those kingdoms. Yeah, I know, creepy, huh? Mohammed bin Salman replaced by the daughter of Mohammed bin Salman and Trump's offspring. Would it be called Donald Jesus Trump? Hilarious. So I can keep on going and help you understand that Joseph Smith is correcting the Bible question about what the hell happened with Noah in the tent. And why is Canaan getting blamed? Joseph explains it for you, gives you the answer. Ham and Egyptus' children were naughty and tricked Noah into marrying them. But it's not literal history. It's just Joseph's brilliance. Okay? And so that's what Joseph Smith was doing. He knew that these guys were fakes. Because he knows what really happened. So he knew those guys were fakes. And so too should have Mormons when Joseph Smith was murdered and James Strang pops up and says, "Hey, I found plates too and I translated them. Follow me, I'm your leader." Mormons are not studying their scriptures and are too easily conned and deceived. Even those who followed Brigham Young. Sorry, Mormons, church ain't true. Should have studied Joseph Smith's words to know that Brigham Young is not true. You won't do it, and then you get mad at me, threaten me to deny the Christ that Joseph Smith talks about, that the Book of Mormon talks about, to think you know better than me, and ignore your master when he's in your presence, thinking you've got other things to concern yourself with. So yes, Joseph Smith is saying that these guys don't have the priesthood by being a descendant of Ham through the minds of Pharaoh trying to dethrone Joseph. This is an authority contest that these guys were doing, and Joseph threw it right back at them. It's just hilarious. And so, yes, the ruler of heaven and earth is Lucifer. Just hilarious. Joseph Smith is awesome. And yes, we should put that in our canon of scriptures to help illustrate how Joseph Smith was brilliant and humiliated them when they went to their deathbed saying, yeah, we tricked the prophet. Because they're stupid. And so the church, not giving a damn about translation and not believing Joseph Smith, couldn't explain it. And so, oh no, it's forgery? Oh no, this is going to expose the church. Oh no, Mark Hoffman. Oh no, more forgeries. Oh no, salamanders. What do we do? Oh no, September 6th. No. This is why the church in the 80s was falling apart. And they had to immediately do emergency damage control. And that's why Kimball rushed to put another testament of Jesus Christ on the Book of Mormon, which also added to the damage. Oh, Nelson. So, yesterday, I got an email through Academia by a guy from Georgia, the country, not the state, who claimed he was working with a group at a university in England as he is working on a master's, as he says, on translating a Middle Eastern codice that had been dated to 2,000 years ago during the Judeo-Christian time period, which, again, if you're in the field and you say stuff like that, I'm gonna kick your... So yes, that's why the Kinderhook plates came to mind after reading this guy's request. He said that they had come across Paleo-Hebrew in encrypted writing that they couldn't figure out. And so that's where he says that he had found me, that I have published Paleo-Hebrew and how to decipher it. And so he was asking for my help. He wanted a Zoom chat, and there's no way in hell I'm doing Zoom chat. I was forced to do Zoom in 2022, and that destroyed my computer system. Struggled to try to get it off my system to restore functionality. So no, there is no way I'm using Zoom ever again. Dear God, it's a malware virus. But nonetheless, I saw that he had put his email along with the phone number, and there's no way I'm using the phone. Oh dear God, don't even get me started. I think I talked about it yesterday, why I don't use phones and why I can't use my phone anymore. It's been destroyed by hackers. And spam. And so I email him back and say that now that he knows my email if he could send me pictures, I will render a translation and show my work on how I translated it for their decision as to what to do with it. Because that's what he wanted, was my help in translation with what they couldn't figure out. But he had given enough 2,000 years ago. Middle East is being vague about where in the Middle East. Codus. And I don't care if it's not pronounced correctly. Codices, Codus, whatever. And so I'm aware of the Jordanian codices, that it's a fraud. Thus, the Kinderhook plates popped in my mind. As a guy from Georgia, claiming to be working on a master's only in England. Those former Russians, always good for a laugh. You know, I used to have a Russian who was in email communication with me, asking me to hand over my decipherment of Paleo-Hebrew. He was getting very impatient. I knew that we were now in the latter days, and I needed to focus on warning Mormons that they're all going to die. So I wasn't too concerned about finishing Paleo-Hebrew as much as I was trying to do these videos for you. And here we are, we're all dead. We're all doomed. We're about to die. I was right, and Mormons will go to their graves in denial. Church is true. In verse 27, now Pharaoh, being of that lineage, which he could not have the right of priesthood, notwithstanding the Pharaohs would fain claim it from Noah, through Ham. Therefore my father was led away by their idolatry. Hilarious. Yeah, I told him about this. I said, if it's the Jordanian codices, why would your team believe that there's some legitimacy when everybody else calls them a forgery? But if not, please inform me of the background of everything, of whatever you're working on, if there's something else other than these Jordanian codices. So we'll see if he responds. See if he thinks it's going to be legitimized, because now he knows that I know about the Jordanian forgery. So if he's still going to go through with it and send me the Jordanian forgery, claiming that it's something else, that'll just make him stupid. Nonetheless, I do my YouTube videos where I constantly go over with you translation of the original documents of the scriptures and showing you how they all tie in together. And pretty much only Stanford has an interest in learning from me of the scriptures. But yeah, I mean, I use that for my videos because of the scripture content all having to do with the latter days. And so when Stanford is commenting about his studies in the scriptures, and wonders, has questions or whatever, I'm able to share them with you often. So the latest big bombshell was when he was asking about Nephi obtaining the plates of brass there at the treasury of the temple, and Laban. Perfect timing. So, YouTube is upset with me for exposing little sister Jessica, who leaked President Dallin H. hoax, and so he never recommends that channel ever again for me. Instead, he's on somebody new, a Mormon channel by the name of Rise Zion. And every time I see one of his videos popping up now, next to Shelby and Penny fighting like siblings for 20 minutes, it's foreplay. They're not fighting, it's foreplay. Foreplay. That Penny, that slut whore. I did like young Sheldon, and so yeah, I wasn't surprised when the final episode revealed him doing his memoirs for the whole show. Not unexpected. But yeah, I mean, to waste your whole life on string theory that you never solve? Duh. Claiming to be this brilliant guy, getting into universities to be paid to do your research. A waste of a life. And then you have this daughter, apparently, who you don't want to go to her little soccer game. What the hell, man? You got a daughter. She's awesome. Probably just like Penny. Anyway, and then Ted Nugent, stranglehold above that. So yeah, I don't understand the algorithms of YouTube, other than the Mormon is trying to mock me with the inclusion of Rise Zion. I'm excited to watch Desi Leidick Foxplains Trump's Qatari plane gift. Gift, yeah. I like Desi. She's awesome. Much like Penny. Very witty. And so, as he has his own symbol for his channel of Rise Zion with the communist Islamic crescent and a star in the middle of it, whether he knows it or not. With Rise Zion. Oh my God. It's like the one woman who had served a mission, was now married, and was doing her YouTube videos all about videos to help little girls decide what to do on a mission, whether to go on a mission. So she was doing videos about everything behind a mission. Getting the call, preparing on the mission, some stuff on the mission, magic underwear, no try-on haul, the temple, endowment, and then coming home, what to do next, and sex with your husband. No explanation. And so one of the thumbnail pictures that she has, because the church keeps it a secret from Mormons, And so out of the innocence of Mormons who know no better, she puts on the thumbnail picture a whole bunch of stars falling down. She's clueless. She doesn't know. Church won't tell her. Oh, it's on the temple. It's a pretty star, Mommy. This is Mormons for you. They are clueless what they're doing. They think the church is true. They're wrong about their interpretation. And it leads to comedic gems. And they don't understand why we're all laughing at you. It's just me. I'm the one who knows. Oh my God. So the thumbnail picture has Jesus within a cathedral with a whole bunch of women. That could be a guy, because it could be facial hair, but that woman looks like she has facial hair. I'm not quite sure. But nonetheless. And Nelson, Prez Nelson, drop hints. Drop hint. Exclamation point. Drops hint. Oh, God. And he's got 16K in one day. Lots of people know about him, and it's probably your fault because you watch his channel and you come into my video, and so it gets recommended. Which is interesting why the other guy doesn't get recommended anymore. Was Jesus, all caps of course, married? Question mark. Parentheses. President Nelson drops hint on new post from Instagram. And the Instagram post was about Jesus going to a marriage and talking about how Jesus loves his mommy. He's a mommy's boy. Even though mommy doesn't believe and betrays him, just like Peter, Thomas, Judas. Everybody betrays Jesus. His family betrays him. And it's only 18 minutes and 4 seconds. Not nearly enough time to cover the topic matter, as you can see by my video length. Nonetheless. And so Nelson is only teaching about how to love your mommy. That's it. If Jesus loved his mommy so much, what does that tell you about you loving your mommy? And yet, this Mormon, desperate to prove the church is true, to get popular among Mormons, is creating what isn't there, per se, about whether or not Jesus was married. Now, this is a hot topic in Mormonism. When I was working at the distribution center here in Utah, a long time ago, one of the employees believed that Jesus wasn't married. One of my neighbors in West Valley believed strongly that no, Jesus was not married. The employee also believed that Cumorah was 2 locations, and that the plates were actually down in the Central American version. That's the Reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who believes that one. This church, especially after Benson came out and said only one, but there was a heated BYU debate between the two professors there at BYU, who were debating one or two Comoras. Who's the one true professor? And it got to fist fight. And so President Benson had to break it up and declare one Cumorah. And still there are Mormons who refuse to accept the living prophet of Jesus as true, because their spiritual witness feelings told them there are two. You're both wrong. Your clue is in gold plates. Stick with gold. God. It's a vision of gold Egyptian plates. You're supposed to go, oh, Knights Templar. Nicolas Cage, didn't he come out with National Treasure? Yes, he did. It's Egyptian. York Rights. Duh. It's right there, Mormons. Right there. Why are you looking beyond the mark? Right, because you have the wrong interpretation. Pissing me off. Let's see if I can find it. The marriage and mother of Jesus, yeah. John chapter 2. Water into wine. Can't recall where I recently. Anyway, moving on. And the third day there was a marriage in Cana of Galilee. And the mother of Jesus was there. And both Jesus was called and his disciples to the marriage. And when they wanted wine, the mother of Jesus said unto him, They have no wine. Jesus saith unto her, Woman, what have I to do with thee? Mine hour is not yet come. His mother said unto the servants, Whatsoever he saith unto you, do it. And there were set there 6 water pots of stone, after the manner of purifying of the Jews, containing 2 or 3 firkins apiece. Jesus saith unto them, Fill the water pots with water. And they filled them up to the brim. And he saith unto them, Draw out now, and bear unto the governor of the feast. And they bare it. When the ruler of the feast had tasted the water that was made wine, and knew not whence it was, but the servants which drew the water knew. The governor of the feast called the bridegroom, and saith unto him, Every man at the beginning doth set forth good wine, and when men have well drunk, than that which is worse. But thou hast kept the good wine until now. This beginning of miracles did Jesus in Cana of Galilee, and manifested forth his glory, and his disciples believed on him, until they betrayed him, murdered him. So this was not during the Passover, but verse 13, and the Jews' Passover was at hand, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Anybody who's been following me knows what this actually is saying. The Jewish Christ is the man like Moses. And therefore, every single Jewish author must tell their prophecies about the Jewish Christ in the same manner as Moses and the Exodus. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Yesterday I did the video about how Genesis has all their stories exactly like Moses and the Exodus. New Testament is still written by Jews, still in the same format. Jesus is the man like Moses of the future. This is a prophecy. Third day, when it's a wedding, that's 8 April 2024. That's the date they're giving you for this prophecy. And so then Passover, yep, money changers. The Jews are brilliant, but when you allow the falsehood of the first creed of Christianity to be imposed upon this, you screw everything up by calling it literal history. The water into wine, yeah, that's Moses turning the Nile River into blood for authority. And so Nelson obviously is being a little primary kid with his level of knowledge about this story. He thinks it's literal history, that Jesus was real and went to his mother at a wedding and loved his mommy. Okay, great. Kids know this. So what? Nelson is incapable of knowing the scriptures, as much as that angers Mormons, because they believe the church is true and are clueless that having Jesus in the center of your name means you're the great and abominable church. Nobody liked that picture meme of mine. Of course we're the great and abominable church. It says so in the middle of our name. And so yes, we're late, in case you hadn't caught on. The enemy had plotted this for 200 years, and they botched it. So, what immediately came to mind when I saw this recommendation is itching ears. And that comes from 2 Timothy. So it looks like I need to read the scripture first. 2 Timothy chapter 4. Looks like we can stop at 5. I charge thee, therefore, before God and the Lord Jesus Christ, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing and his kingdom. Did you make the connection with John chapter 2 and the wedding? Jesus is a judge, showing his authority as the man like Moses at the wedding supper feast at Zion on the third day of darkness, at his appearing and his kingdom. The parable of the 10 virgins is a wedding supper feast of the Lamb at the lion, or at the Temple of Zion. Revelation 19, there's the date. Verses 11 and 17. You're my angel, Eka, I had you in my dream. Anybody remember that? No? Sucks to be you. She was cute. Preach the word, be instant in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long-suffering and doctrine. For the time will come when prophecies always have a date. There it is. It's just not translated correctly. When they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. And they shall turn away their ears from the truth, and shall be turned unto mythos. They call it fables. Myths. But watch thou in all things, endure afflictions, do the work of an evangelist. Oh, we got to join the evangelicals? Make full proof of thy ministry. Messenger. Teachers, doctrine. Inagata Davida, baby. So, yeah. Mythos. That's what the pagans, the Romans and Greeks, referred to their scriptures. We now refer to fake stories as myths. Thanks to Christianity again, screwing everything up. And this screws up the interpretation of this passage as a result. But you get the general idea, regardless of the lack of everybody's knowledge of Greek. And so, tickled for itching. And it's the exact same word for doctrine, for teachers. So it's doctrine. And so it's not a teacher. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine. But after their own lust shall they heap to themselves doctrines. Not teachers, doctrines. Having tingling? Is that the word that was used? Tickled. Tickle me, Elmo. Okay. So, indoctrinated is actually what is being talked about here. Indoctrinate is doctrine, but in meaning without. That is how you're supposed to interpret indoctrinate. Without lacking not. And when gives you the date of when this is to occur. That's the exact same date. It's the same as the Paleo-Hebrew for the date. When Isaiah says, I give unto you a sign. That sign is the date. It's the sign in the heavens. And therefore it is the calendar date. It is the time when it was to occur. And sure enough, it did on the very day. And so he's telling you the latter days date of the 3 days of darkness of the solar eclipses that form these 2 letters. But this is Greek, not Paleo-Hebrew. And so you don't see it. And so, in the latter days, from the 21st of August 2017 to 8 April 2024, Mormons will not endure sound doctrine of their own Book of Mormon and of Joseph Smith. But after their own lusts shall they heap unto themselves doctrines, having tickle me Elmos. So Joseph Smith words this a little differently for you. Section 1, verse 14 to 16. And the arm of the Lord shall be revealed, and the day cometh, that they who will not hear the voice of the Lord. So Joseph Smith would give the 1838 vision, second vision, telling you, yeah, 23rd of April, or 23rd of September 2017, the month after the first day of darkness. The day cometh, Mormons, when Mormons who will not hear the voice of their Christ, who will come on the 23rd of September 2017, because he's Jewish, not Jesus. Neither the voice of his servants, neither give heed to the words of the biblical and Book of Mormon prophets and apostles, shall be cut off, or precisely as it stands in our New Testament, from among the people. For Mormons have strayed from the temple ordinances and have broken the everlasting covenant of marriage, the abomination of desolation as spoken of by Daniel, which the Jews referred to when the Greeks took over the Jerusalem temple. Exactly what Brigham Young did to Joseph. Mormons seek not the Lord to establish his righteousness, but every Mormon walketh in his own way. Ta-da. And after the image of his own God, whose image is in the likeness of the world, and whose substance is that of an idol, which waxeth old, and shall perish in Babylon, even Babylon the Great, which shall fall. Wherefore I, the Lord, knowing the calamity which should come upon the inhabitants of the earth, have called Messiah ben Joseph, spake unto him from heaven, and gave him commandments. And also gave commandments to others, that they should proclaim these things unto the world, and all this that it might be fulfilled, which was written by the prophets. Mormons think they are wise, when, oh dear God, they are stupid. John chapter 20. The first day of the week cometh, Mary Magdalene, early, when it was yet dark, unto the sepulchre, and seeth the stone taken away from the sepulchre. Then she runneth and cometh to Simon Peter, and to the other disciple, whom Jesus loved, and saith unto them, They have taken away the Lord out of the sepulchre, and we know not where they have laid him. Peter therefore went forth, and that other disciple came to the sepulchre. So they ran both together, and the other disciple did outrun Peter, and came first to the sepulchre. And he, stooping down and looking in, saw the linen clothes lying, yet went he not in. Then cometh Simon Peter following him, and went in into the sepulchre, and seeth the linen clothes lie, and the napkin about his head. You do know the Shroud of Turin is a forgery. It's not Jesus. It was a Christian after Constantine who thought that he would be murdered in like manner as Jesus, and was wrapped in the tomb like Jesus. Christians love to do that. And so no, he's too short. 6'5", like Superman. Not 5'8" or whatever, like his dad. Guess the dad is 5'11". So was the mom. Then went in also that other disciple which came first to the sepulchre, and he saw and believed. For as yet they knew not the scripture, that he must rise again from the dead. And thus gave rise to baptisms for the dead by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, aka Danites, because they thought this is literal history. Then the disciples went away again unto their own home. But Mary stood without at the sepulchre, weeping, like a sensitive snowflake. And as she wept, she stooped down and looked into the sepulchre, and seeth 2 angels, standing in white, the one at the head, the other at the feet, where the body of Jesus had lain. And they said unto her, What the hell, why are you crying? There's no crying in baseball. Pete Rose is getting back his honors. Quit crying. Woman, why weepest thou? Notice, Jesus calls his mom woman. The angels call Mary Magdalene woman. Whosoever looketh upon a woman to lust after her hath denied the faith. Women need to be covered up and hidden so that men don't get tempted to tamper with their little factory. You know it's coming, and yet you're all in denial. She saith unto them, because they have taken away my master, Lord. And I know not where they have laid him. See, Christians think master means Christ. This was written by a Jew. And when she had thus said, she turned herself back and saw Jesus standing, and knew not that it was Jesus. Jesus saith unto her, Woman. Jesus. Why weepest thou? Whom seekest thou? She, supposing him to be the gardener, saith unto him, Sir, if thou have come to tempt me into sexual union, you can just go your way. If thou hast borne him hence, tell me where thou hast laid him, and I will take him away. Jesus saith unto her, Mary. Oh, chick flick. Means beloved in Egyptian. She turned herself. You thought I was just kidding. Yeah. She is not turning herself. She already turned. She lunged to breed. She's a horny little girl. And said unto him, Rabbi, Master, Lord, Rabboni, which is to say master. She wants to have sex with him. But she can't. That's forbidden. Got to get married. Jesus said unto her, Touch me not, for I have not yet ascended to my Father. In the Gada da Vida, baby, don't you know that you drive me crazy? But go to my brethren and say unto them, I ascend unto my Father and your Father, and to my God and your God. Mary Magdalene came and told the disciples, and she had seen the Lord, and that he had spoken these things unto her. The woman is the church. Joseph Smith translation, Revelation chapter 12, verse 7. Jesus is the Christ. But wait, the date is the 23rd of September, 2017. This is his bride, his wife. You dumbass Mormon. You're not going to get it from Nelson because he has no clue. He is a false prophet, seer, revelator, and he doesn't even claim translator. He is talking about 8 April 2024, the wedding supper feast of the Lamb at the Zion Temple. That's why he says we cannot consummate our marriage until we are married. Jesus is the bridegroom. Mary, the church, and 3 times the charm, is the wife. Zion is when the gathering of Moses from Mormons scattered all over the world to Zion occurs. That's why I keep telling you that I'm really hoping, and it's not looking good because the enemy sucks at being the enemy. For Pentecost, when everybody is gathered. But if that's the call-out day, okay, fine, because I found that 624 is when the sun eclipses Jupiter. This is not fair. Why won't this end? And so today, sure enough, I found Mars, who is Nelson, because you don't believe. So unless you're still listening, you do believe. On 6/16, Mars is there with Regulus, just like the sun solar eclipse on the 21st of August 2017. So I don't know what's going to happen. The enemy kind of sucks. I did everything. I'm ready to go, and I'm having to wait for the enemy who failed. How humiliating for them. 200 years. And I keep going over it with you because I'm dumbfounded how dumb the enemy is. 200 years planning, preparing, all in secret, not wanting anybody to know, but leaking it to Mormons. And then Oaks getting leaked in 2020. We're going to run a test run instead. Oh my God. I did everything that year. Oh. A test run? And so, yes, I am just dumbfounded with Mormons who confuse themselves by thinking they're clarifying things for their minds, as they suppose, by making stuff up. Jesus is not real. He was created by Roman Emperor Constantine in the first creed of Christianity. The Jews wrote the scriptures. The Jews are not Christian. They're talking about their future Christ. They're giving you the days and the hours of his coming. No, Matthew did not write, no man knows the day or the hour, because he gives you the days and the hours throughout his whole book. A dumbass Christian wrote it in. And so, yes, as a result, you get all these people who are confused. And so Catholics have nuns. Every single one of those nuns are married to Jesus. And so they believe that Jesus is not real, Hamuzion, though Leo the First clarified, as others were not wanting to believe Hamuzion anymore. Nonetheless, you do know Leo the 14th is the new pope. I did the videos. They literally believe that as a nun, who's not supposed to have sex because she's married to Jesus. They are very confident that those women are never going to actually have sex with Jesus to produce babies. But they turn the Jewish scriptures about Mary on the 23rd of September 2017 into a literal history during the Roman period time where a dove comes and rapes her to produce rape baby Jesus. And then what Brigham Young did to the Book of Mormon, oh my hell. Yeah, Heavenly Father comes from outer space to his 14-year-old daughter and rapes her. Abandons her with the baby. She has to have the baby because no abortion. And rape baby Jesus. White guy. Of a white mommy. And so yeah, I had a comment by somebody who did not cross that line, but was suggesting of reverse racism. That, Jesus had to be black. That Jesus was turned white by white supremacists here in these latter days to control blacks and enslave them and blah, blah, blah. You know, you're partly right, but couldn't go there, could you? It's just unbelievable how people get so screwed up and they think that they're wise when they are not. You're still basing your beliefs on a falsehood because you're allowing corrupt doctrines to indoctrinate you and lead you astray. Just as 2 Timothy chapter 4 prophesied about, so it is done. Fulfilled. So for Mormons, likewise, on the matter of marrying Jesus, Mormon girls are not being taught correctly because the church won't teach you correctly, so Mormon girls make it all up. Benson came out and said no blessings will be withheld from a faithful woman. And so women then took that to mean, oh, I don't have to marry these lowly scum men, even though they're priesthood holders. I'm righteous, and I'm only going to settle for a righteous priesthood holder. Oh, Jesus, he's the only one. If I can't have a living prophet of Jesus. So you get Sherry Dew syndrome among Mormon women, because Sherry Dew was holding out for an apostle, and he rejected her, and so she is going to die single. She is missing out on the blessings that she could have in life simply because she's refusing to lower her standards and values to settle for only an elder. And she has foregone having children. Now, it's not because she's ugly and no man wanted her. She has had proposals. She rejected them. Many of the women in the singles wards, specifically the older singles ward, they had several opportunities for marriage. They passed them up. Many women rejected marriage because they wanted to go on a mission. They wanted a career. They wanted an education. They made their choice to forego blessings of marriage. Because Benson said, no blessings will be withheld from a faithful woman. And so women go without marriage, go without family. And I see these older singles ward women sorrowful that they became perfect, going on a mission, getting an education, getting a career, And there's no perfect guy in their 30s and then 40s. Yeah, they really emasculate the men in the older singles ward. Not that I would know firsthand. No, not at all. But men who are single are broken. Damaged. There we go. Damaged. Damaged. She was in the news not too long ago. Danity Kane. She was involved in some kind of sex assault or something like that. As is the P. Diddy. Who's your pimp daddy? Nelson is your pimp daddy. Nelson, the abomination of desolation, as spoken of by Daniel. But Mormon women who are holding out for Jesus, you have not understood Mormon revised doctrine. Jesus Christ, we are told under Mormon revised doctrine, was the first fruits of the resurrection, which occurred during the Roman period of time, 34 CE, which couldn't be because Passover was not accurate for the dates. But nonetheless, we'll just ignore that and say the church is true. Because I read to you the scripture on the first day of the week, Sunday, which means Passover ended on Saturday. It doesn't happen that way every single year. That was Christians who turned it that way, so that Easter is always on Sunday. And so Passion Week is always the week before leading to Sunday for Easter. They screwed it up. The Jews, however, haven't changed. Nonetheless, church is true. Move on. And so, all those who were rotting in hell, from Adam to Malachi and Nephi, Book of Mormon prophets, were resurrected. Now Jesus, as I read to you only from John, needed to be ascended. Jesus was ascended. And so there's a scripture. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah. Matthew 22. He's talking to the woman at the well. Therefore, in the resurrection, it's actually not, they're asking a question. But the woman at the well had a whole bunch of husbands. Let's go to it. The same day came to him the Sadducees, which say there is no resurrection, and asked him, saying, Master, Moses said, if a man die having no children, his brother shall marry his wife, and raise up seed unto his brother. Now there were with us 7 brethren, and the first, when he had married a wife, deceased, and left no issue, left his wife unto his brother. Likewise the second also, and the third unto the 7th. 7 years of the latter days. 7 days of Passover. And last of all, the woman died also. Therefore, in the resurrection, whose wife shall she be of the 7? For they all had her. It's talking about Zion, the wedding supper feast of the Lamb at the Zion temple. He's using this as a code to teach you doctrine. Don't screw it up with Christian indoctrination, even if it's Mormon Christian indoctrination. For they all had her. Jesus answered and said unto them, O my hell, bleeping hell, I am among stupid people. Ye do err, not knowing the Scriptures, nor the power of God. For in the resurrection they neither marry, nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven. And so Christians say that there is no marriage in heaven, and it's all just, we worship Jesus at his feet 24/7. Except that that's a different time. So it's not actually 24/7. But as touching the resurrection of the dead, have you not read that which was spoken of by God unto you? I am the God of Abraham and Isaac, Jacob. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. And when the multitude heard this, they were astonished at his doctrine. Okay, so Mormon revised doctrine says that all your saving ordinances in the temple, including marriage, must be performed on earth. Otherwise, you rot in hell in the spirit world until they are done, or until your second or third resurrection, unless you're a son of perdition. Because you don't need the ordinances to go to the other kingdoms. Only for the highest degree of the celestial kingdom do you need the ordinances of the revised doctrine of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And it means polygamy. So she belongs to wrong way. It's supposed to be 7 virgins, not 7 men. Okay? And so if Jesus died, was resurrected, and ascended, already the church isn't true, because Jesus moved on to his other planet with his wives to start having babies with them on the other planet. Any woman thereafter has no chance to get hooked up with Jesus. Ain't gonna happen. However, to solve this conundrum, Mormon revised doctrine has created this earth is Jesus's. And so he can keep coming back and forth to this earth. But anybody else is done. They don't have anything to do with this earth anymore. Only those who are spirits in the spirit world can come when assigned, not otherwise, because then you're a devil, to appear to man on earth and give them a message, and then only the message alone. No shaking of hands to trick you, because that's in the Doctrine and Covenants. This is all revised Mormon doctrine I'm giving you here. Don't be confused with truth. Okay? And so, we make the mistake of saying that Moroni appeared to Joseph Smith as a resurrected being. That the resurrection of Jesus lasted for 400 years to when Moroni existed. And we ignore the fact that it was Nephi and not Moroni who appeared to Joseph in the second vision. This is revised Mormon doctrine. It's all wrong, abominable, and corrupt. Nonetheless, church is true. Moroni should therefore not be appearing to Joseph Smith, let alone Jesus, but. And so women have been tricked by this church into thinking that they can be married to Jesus. There is no marriage in the resurrection. You have to already have been sealed to somebody on this earth, and it can't be Jesus. He's already been resurrected. Once you are resurrected, no more wives are to be added. And so, then we get the problem of people who say that Joseph Smith has been resurrected and ascended to heaven while earth louds his fame. Therefore, Joseph Smith is not in the spirit world anymore. So you have a split in Mormonism about whether or not Joseph Smith is still in the spirit world or whether he's moved on to his other planet with his one wife. But revised Mormon doctrine says 23 and then additional in this valley. And so yes, you see the error of the first causal fallacy or falsehood of belief, and how it extends into absurdity. And so women don't get that they don't have a chance with Jesus. They are passing up learning to get along and love a man on earth. As Mormon women think that rank means righteousness. Mormon women will not get a blessing by only an elder when they can have it by a stake president or a high priest or an apostle. It's the same concept for women in their thinking processes. They don't want to get married, and yet there are too many women who fall prey to their natures, which is carnal, sensual, and devilish, and end up going, oops, I fell for what I settled for because I got horny. I fell for the bad boy and got burned because he's not perfect. And so yes, the younger singles ward, talk about your high standards and values. No man is good enough for those little precious princesses. Until they get horny. And then the cute guy is all of a sudden righteous. But they end up being in the older singles ward for the same reasons. They're looking for a high rank in a guy who's just off his mission. They think that they got it all figured out as to who's gonna, be the most successful from high school, who's gonna be the class clown, and who's gonna end up on drugs, OD'd, or in prison. You know, stuff they do for the yearbook in senior year. Most likely to be thrown in jail for sexual perversions. Most likely to end up dead on the side of the gutter. Most likely to be indoctrinated by a cult group. All my yearbooks are gone. Family erased me. My mom only salvaged one binder. God. Anyway, so yeah, Mormon doctrine does not allow to be blessed, women. You've been tricked. You fell for the con of you'll be blessed when you're dead, rather than a true church that will help you have joy in this lifetime, so that you can be married in this lifetime, so that you can have a family in this lifetime, that finances won't be an issue in preventing you from getting married and having children. The church is not true. You should have recognized that. But you fell to the deception of the false prophets who are indoctrinating you. But there's still a hope that you can be number 3 for the Jewish Christ. And if your name's Angelica, that's just an added bonus. You don't have to have the color of hair that she did in the dream, which was a dark. If Mormons only understood the scriptures and the learning of the Jews, your eyes would be opened, similar to Stanford. Rise, Zion, rise! Communist Islam. Rise!